Hi, I'm Kirk Harbinger, and this is Bethany Gonyea. She's the founder of Numinous and the Albany Peace Project. And this is the second video in a series of 4 that we are holding and sharing throughout the month of January on each Sunday. What I'd like to do now in the second session is talk about coherence and how the Institute of Heart Math is helping us to do that. And then also how DHEA relates in here and how it affects our bodies. So that's the content of this session. Before we get into that, I'd like for you to share with us some more about Numinous, what your goals are, what the purpose of Numinous is, and then a little more about the Albany Peace Project and how that correlates.
Sure. Well, Numinous is a nonprofit organization that I started a while ago, and the goal of Numinous is to teach people about their nervous system and how to use meditation to lead their bodies into this gorgeous, sublime state that's within us all, and if we're just skilled to get there, and to lead us there reliably and consistently. And from that beautiful state, our own natural intelligence emerges, and we're able to kind of hear a great, as Nancy Griffiths put it, the whispers of the heart, which is really our own intelligence infused with something larger than us, and how when we listen to that beautiful, still, small voice, we can only want to be of service to the world.
That's great. And tell us more about how the Albany Peace Project relates to the challenges and what you're trying to accomplish with Numinous.
Well, you know, we all have a nervous system, so I just feel as though this is our birthright, that each one of us should be given the opportunity to learn how to bring out the best within us in a much more skilled way. I'm so passionate about this that I'm wanting to get it into all the school systems. I mean, there is so much research now that I feel as though we're actually almost negligent by not offering this to young children. Because we all have this. We all have challenges. We're all going to need to cope. And if we can just learn some simple skills, we'll be able to have a much better society. I know there's a famous quote that goes around that says, if you teach children to meditate by the age of 8, then all of world violence would be over in the next generation.
Well, let's do that.
I know. That's what we're working for. Absolutely.
So what are we doing with the Albany Peace Project? What's the goal there?
Well, the goal is to get these skills out to as many people as possible, and not only to have individuals feel the greater satisfaction, fulfillment, joy, and love that they'll experience in their own lives, but because they feel so fulfilled, they will just naturally want to serve and reach out to others and create a better world themselves.
That's great. And just a clarification too, so Numinous and the Peace Project, so you are non-denominational, you want to involve all different communities. Can you expand on that a little bit? Yeah,
and sometimes people want to kind of pigeonhole us or put us in a box or whatever, and we can't do that because that's the Numinous. The Numinous is this kind of irrational, non-sensory experience that we all know when we touch it. And we don't try to put it into any box or fix it into any particular religion or background or any rules. But the idea that when we become quiet, we touch something that is palpable and that is eternal within us. And from that beautiful space, beautiful things happen.
That's great. So if I practice a particular religion, if I meditate or pray, whatever it is that I do, I can still join your effort.
Absolutely. Bring in your prayers. You know, bring in whatever you prefer, whatever you would like to do. That's open. It's your connection. We'd only want to honor that and not you know, I mean, that's my goal, is to create the space where that can actually occur. See, the problem is we're walking around looking at our cell phones, looking at screens, you know, responding to phone calls, that none of us even leave space for the Numinous. None of us leave, you know, we're all so busy chatting, God can't get a word in edgewise, right? So my job is, for this work, is to just lead people to allow them to have their own experience, and Source can take it from there.
So define Numinous for us.
Well, it was a name, it was coined by a man named Rudolf Otto, and essentially it talks about the ineffable. You know, many of the world's religions, you know, won't even give God a name, because once you give God a name, it becomes in a box. So the Numinous is something that you can't define. It's something that, but you know it when you feel it. And so there are certain things in life that when we, like meditation, like quiet contemplation, reflection, which is what all of the religions suggest that we do, that we will touch up against something very real, very palpable, and it has a strength and a wonderful, compassionate wisdom that pulls us into our greatest knowing and to help us overcome challenges, which is why I always say all the Al-Anon groups or AA groups, they are also powerful with almost no money behind them, because that is what they are doing. They are leading people to the numinous within them and getting a dialogue going. And my highest hope is that these meditations in the Albany Peace Project will do the same thing.
That's true. So you want to be sort of follow those models of Anonymous and be that inclusive
Yes.
group. That's terrific. So you mentioned a minute ago, you touched on coherence. So let's talk more about what coherence really is and how that can impact our lives and then others.
Right, absolutely. So coherence, the hallmark of coherence is something known as heart rate variability. And the idea, when we're young, we have great heart rate variability, and as we age, it naturally kind of becomes more static. Heart rate variability is this: literally, your heart rate is variable, which is kind of counterintuitive to the way we've been taught. You know, we've been taught, you know, maybe your heart is like your ticker, or you think of your heart as a metronome and it's going, always beating at the same rate. Actually, that's not true. What they've found is that a healthy heart, actually the word I use, dances. A healthy heart dances. I love that idea. And because, and when a healthy heart dances, it means that there's a different amount of time between each heart rate. And if we can, we might be able to show you a slide. But basically the time between each heartbeat is different, and so it dances. It's not always the same. Now the reason why that's so good is because your heart is the biggest oscillator of the body. It puts off the largest electromagnetic signal. The amplitude of it is 60 times greater than the brain. So when your heart is in this kind of dancing state with greater heart rate variability, then all of the rest of the body dances with it. And all of the systems work together. Your hormonal system, your digestive system, everything works much better within it. What happens when we lose our heart rate variability, which can happen in trauma, is the heart goes into a lockdown. It becomes more fixed and static. And it puts off a static signal for the rest of the body, and then depression ensues and disease ensues. So that's why heart disease and depression go so tightly together, because once the heart goes more into lockdown, becomes less variable, it puts off the static signal, and the whole body kind of goes into economy mode, and it becomes very incoherent.
So it's almost like a fitness for the heart, right? So variability, more dynamic, allows us to take on the elements of life
Yes.
and our experiences in a more healthful way, you know, so we're more prepared for it.
Yes,
correct?
yes, and what can happen is, you know, life sends us these incredible challenges, and our heart almost gets stunned, right? And so I always say the heart, you need to think of it as like a garden, and just the way a garden you would kind of pull out weeds and water it, that's what we need to do with our hearts, because as life comes and sends us these challenges, if we're not pulling out the weeds of resentment, pulling out the disappointments, pulling those things out, our heart can become more static, and again, that's when disease and heart disease comes in.
Sounds like also if we're not feeding our heart.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff, which
right.
is, you know, why Numinous does what it does. We're always wanting to feed that heart.
That's
absolutely.
Great. So how does heart math relate to this aspect of coherence, and what sort of a partnership do you have with them? Right.
Well, the Institute of Heart Math is this amazing international nonprofit organization that has done a lot of work with heart rate variability and the powerful, incredible effects that it has on the body. And, you know, I've been familiar with them for 20 years, and so last year, after so many people stepped up for the Albany Peace Project, and they really inspired me, all the people who meditated, that I had the courage to call up Heart Math and say, hey, I got to tell you, there's this group of amazing meditators in Albany, New York, and we're wondering if you would be willing to lend us some of your science to help with it in 2015. And I'm so grateful to them because it started a whole dialogue, and what they were willing to do was to license us use of what's called the Heart Lock-In for the 2015 year. And the heart lock-in essentially means that each day in each of the protocols, people are focusing in the heart for 5 minutes, anchoring the mind in the heart, and then reaching for slightly better feelings. So feelings of emotion, love, caring, and appreciation. And so with that heart lock-in, we can just show that this is evidence-based and that we're really doing something here. This is not just we're playing, we're actually going for a scientifically valid and researched place within the nervous system.
So HeartMath has spent a lot of effort and time, it sounds like, on doing research so that it's backed by science.
Absolutely.
And so can you delve a little bit further into that and how science relates to proving that coherence and these practices actually work?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we're doing a heart lock-in in this, but if you really wanted to make sure that you were getting into that coherent state and sustaining it, the Institute of HeartMath offers these little biofeedback instruments known as M-Waves. And these M-Waves will teach you how to lead your body into a coherent state, and it increases the challenge level as you go. So that can certainly be purchased. I would suggest you go to the heartmath.org and check out, there's so much information on that site about how coherence helps with business intuition and academics and stress and coping. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, because we all have a heart. It's the biggest thing in our nervous system, that it just positively influences everything.
That's terrific. So we look forward to our effort in connection with them. So you did touch on last time DHEA and its effect on our bodies and how we can increase levels to sustain ourselves even further. How does that affect our bodies?
Well, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about a research study that compares DHEA and cortisol levels when people practice coherence for a month. First of all, let's just say that there is a major hormonal balance between cortisol and DHEA. Cortisol, we all know, is this fight or flight response, the stress response. And initially it's got some good impact, but when we're under chronic stress for long periods of time, high cortisol levels do not serve us. At the same time, we also have DHEA levels, and DHEA is known as the anti-aging hormone. And basically, again, all good things happen from DHEA, and when it's low, it's often a precursor to very serious diseases like cancer, thyroidism, whatever. Very, very serious diseases is when our DHEA levels will lower. So what also happens is that when we practice coherence, we're able to lead our body into a state where we're able to increase our own DHEA levels without any supplements, without changing our diet. All we're doing is skillfully focusing the mind and the heart, and we're kind of invoking our own pharmacy within us to bring about this beautiful anti-aging hormone to promote health and well-being within us. And then there was one study done by the Institute of HeartMath that showed that when people practice these skills for 1 month, right? The Albany Peace Project is 1 month. When people practice these skills every day for a month, their DHEA levels actually increase by 100%. 100% within 4 weeks.
1 month, 100%.
Yes, we're practicing it every day.
And so, what does that do for the body? What does it do for how we respond to life and challenges?
Right. Well, what it does is decrease inflammation in the body, and so it decreases illnesses of all types, everything from Alzheimer's to cancer. So it just promotes this sense of well-being and rejuvenation.
So so it's not just one pill.
No, yeah.
But in practicing, it's almost the same amount of effort, right?
Right.
It's easy to practice.
Right.
And we do that for 1 month and we get a return of 100%.
Yeah. Well, think about it. That's what it's so funny you say that, right? Because everybody just wants to take a pill, right, and get over it. But is taking a pill going to make you happy? Is taking a pill going to make you more intuitive, make you be able to connect with other people more, beautifully? Yeah, you could take a pill, but it doesn't provide those other beautiful side effects which make life so rich and rewarding.
That's great. Yeah. Very well put. So we do look forward to talking to you more about Numinous and the Albany Peace Project. And in the next video, we'll certainly get into some more interesting topics with Bethany. But for now, thank you for joining us, and look forward to the next video with you.
Thank you.